You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on NGSCsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
Craig. Take out the trash, Craig.
Oh
man.
Not many Craigs coming through here on the Afford and Fair podcast, I tell you that. Not many
It's almost Friday.
Yeah. Yes it is. Craig. Welcome to the Afford and Fair podcast. I am Edward Green, joined by McCall and Crime, Wes Bradshaw. As Wes said at the beginning, there's still no football. But there might be German football.
But
Unsere deutschen Oberherren haben den Tag gerettet.
Yes.
Translated to our German overlords saved the day.
We will see.
Because we're getting Schalke and Dortmund on Saturday morning.
It's crazy. Yeah, there will be football, professional football, closed door football this Saturday over in Germany. The litmus test. I could look that up in German if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. Of how things could go in England in a few weeks' time if things work out okay. We will talk a little bit about that. I'll hit the news and notes, watch 4, and I don't know, maybe we'll talk So Elite Raw where Rey Mysterio got killed. I don't know.
Der Lackmustest.
Yes.
The litmus test. Der Lackmustest.
The German's such a romantic language. As always, the AFA podcast is presented by NGSC Sports, NGSCsports.com. We never stop even when a global pandemic is occurring. So a few little hits this week. Couple interesting tidbits. One coming from The Athletic. While we may still have Premier League football, we do know that League 1 and 2 have shut down for the season and as part of the English Football League. As far as this article was concerned, there's still a vote to be taken. This was from almost a week ago, of a vote to be taken on how exactly the points and the ending places would be decided for League 1 and League 2, and whether promotion relegation would be a thing. Of course, League 1 and League 2 teams have been in dire straits since COVID-19 happened. A lot of these smaller clubs unable to potentially field teams and be able to keep up, especially if games are played behind closed doors, and not be able to get that match day revenue that they so desperately rely on without the big TV contracts like the Premier League has. So this was a bit of time coming, but it has hit League 1 and League 2. There's also been talk of teams potentially mothballing for a season when football does come back if they aren't in a financial position to resume right away. So they'll have a season to get their affairs in order and then possibly come back in either the same division or one division lower to start making their way back up the football pyramid. So that is one.
It's your chance, Everton. You can win a league.
It can happen. It could happen. Hey, they don't have to play at home anymore, so that's a good thing. As another article from about that same time, where one of the football police chiefs saying that playing at home grounds this season is unrealistic, and it would put an impractical burden on councils and the emergency services. And then, as Wes so eloquently texted me a few days ago, an article from News Thump. Premier League clubs refusing to play in empty stadiums, insisting Manchester City would have unfair advantage. Big true. Arsenal also right up there.
Because they're used to
it. Arsenal praying people don't pipe in fake crowd noise. Got you again, Arsenal.
Never do that, would they?
Well, actually, funny story about that. Talking about the other football, the American football. I actually read an article a little bit ago where Joe Buck was being interviewed, and he was very, very, very confident, almost 100% confident, that when the NFL does take place this year, it will most likely be behind closed doors, but broadcasts will have fake crowd noise. So,
I'm tell you, man, it's just. I mean, we've done broadcasts before where they could have used some fake crowd noise. Or Wesley in college.
got him.
See, they don't employ me anymore, so I can talk shit. We've been there. Guess what? It's not that fun.
It's really not.
So I'm gonna tell you, man, it's gonna be crazy watching. I'm planning to try to watch Schalke and Dortmund this weekend, and I mean it's gonna be crazy. Just God in a quiet stadium.
Yeah, but they will have those. Hopefully, those cardboard cutouts will be there. So that's
oh, this would be amazing.
That's a finger crosser.
So if they could just do like FIFA does and just make it look like they're jumping up and down or something, how amazing!
They just have to put digital FIFA graphics in there. It's 2020. We can do that, right? Come on, technology.
Apparently, they're also going to do NASCAR in an empty place, which I mean that's nothing unusual there, really.
NASCAR's a dying sport.
Yeah. Sport,
quote unquote. I will say it does take some physical and mental fortitude to drive a car that way for that long period of time.
To turn left for 3 hours.
Yes.
I'll tell you, define irony. 2 guys in Eastern North Carolina worshiping European soccer and talking shit about NASCAR. This is what my dad was. This is what my dad is truly afraid of.
It's not socialism. It's this.
It's not socialism. It's his biggest worry is the British retaking over.
We just gotta have another tea party.
We beat y'all's ass in the revolution. So they got us in 1812. Don't nobody care about 1812.
They
kind of kicked our ass.
Just remember, England, the only reason you're free from Germany is because we saved your ass in 2 world wars. 2
world wars and 1 World Cup.
Oh, that's amazing.
USA, baby. Back-to-back World War champions.
Oh, man. Nothing sweeter. Also, good article from the New York Times. Rory Smith talking about soccer arriving at a fork in the road where there is more and more consolidation among the big powers and the worries of the Super League maybe finally starting to come good, which would be just great. That would be the final just fuck you from COVID-19, I guess. And then lastly, maybe a brighter side, sort of. Michael Cox dropped an article on Monday this week entitled 5 subs mean more advantages for top sides. They must remain temporary. And this is, of course, talking about the fact that some leagues like Spain, when they want to resume, are going to start allowing 5 substitutions instead of 3 during a regular match. Now, it does seem like reading that it won't be 5 during the course of a game. You will have 3 substitution. I don't even know what you'd call them. Moments, I guess, that you could use if you've ever been to one of those glorious International Champions Cup games, you'll remember. You'll remember those times that they'll sub in like 6 players at a time, so you can sub in as many as you want in that moment, but you only get 3 of them. So
it's like going to a college basketball game and Roy Williams being pissed at his starters.
Exactly. Oh, 5 of you, get to the
5 in, 5 out, 5 in.
Back on. By gum.
I'm putting in the white kids.
Those daggum sons of bitches. Oh, sorry.
That's when you know you're in trouble. You look over, you're like, shit, he's putting the white kids in.
That was fun.
He's putting in some kid named like Fields or Stanley or some shit. Aiden Joffrey.
Oh man. So this will be interesting to see. Obviously, the point of contention is the more the rich the club is, the higher level the club is. Someone like a Manchester City is going to be able to use by substitutes in a better way, or someone like Liverpool as well use 5 substitutes in a better way than someone like, I don't know, Aston Villa. So
yeah, I mean, it makes absolute sense. I mean, you look at Liverpool, you look at City, you look at Chelsea, Spurs, United. Even. That's I didn't say Arsenal, but I mean, you look at those guys. I mean, look at who is on their bench. Look who's on Liverpool's bench, and then look who's on, like you said, Aston Villa's bench. Obviously, it's a massive advantage for the bigger clubs.
Yeah. So hopefully this will be a temporary change. We will see about that. The other change, though, noted in his article is a statement from the International Football Association, whatever the IFAB stands for, that they are allowing leagues to suspend VAR for the rest of the season in the event that it is proven to be an unsafe thing with that many people like crammed into a little room watching the tape. So this, the one good thing COVID-19 might have done, it might have killed VAR.
The Premier League obviously are the ones who put this on the table.
Yes.
Save us, oh my God, save us.
Yeah. So this would be very interesting. I'm sure there will be some clubs if and when play does resume, that if there is no VAR and a decision goes against them, there will be a stink that will be made. I promise you, it will happen. But hey, this could be it, and we'll see where we'll see how that goes with possibly.
And now let's see what the haters say. But Liverpool continue to win without VAR fixing everything for them.
Got him.
Because obviously Liverpool have gotten off to the greatest start in Premier League history only because of VAR. Nothing else but VAR. Only VAR has made Liverpool unbeatable.
One other interesting note, and it's not something that's been seriously considered, but has kind of been kicked around, is the idea of making shorter halves. And I think we talked a little bit about this like way, way back when this was first all starting. But very, very, very interesting idea. I don't think it's one that would really take, even with the especially with the introduction of 5 subs instead of 3. I don't see how you can shorten the length of the game in the middle of the season or near the back end of the season. That seems rather silly. If this had been like the start of it and like match week 1, okay, maybe give it a go. Maybe it helps out some. But this season has already. I'm sorry, Wes. I know Liverpool's doing great. This season has already become kind of a farce. Not that Liverpool don't deserve to win the title, but just the rest of the stuff that's going to happen is kind of going to be a bit of a farce.
It was already a farce because we had made the league a farce.
Thank you. But just the way that this is going to all run out, I don't think you can just all of a sudden make the game shorter. I will also say, as somebody did mention, making it a little shorter does leave it more room for more upsets. That is a thing that can happen. So that wouldn't be a terrible thing to maybe happen going forward. But 90 minutes also seems really ubiquitous, and there's no chance England's just going to do something without everybody else agreeing to it, right? Transfer window closing. So hopefully that just kind of goes away. But yeah, so that's what's going on. Again, the big thing is obviously all eyes on Germany this weekend to see how that goes, and then the coming days to make sure that nothing crazy happens and not the rate of infection doesn't spike amongst players or anything. So, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. Gonna be very, very interesting to see. Did you maybe see the Athletic did a poll of a lot of its readers the other day? I think it was maybe yesterday or 2 days ago they posted it, just showing what the people reading this article.
Oh yeah, they've been doing those. Are you talking about? Well, for what? Because they've been throwing up polls like a motherfucker over the last 2 weeks.
This was for the Premier League.
Oh, just the Premier League in general.
Yeah.
Did I see that one? Because I know the Liverpool one did a poll
Mm-hmm.
on some things. That was really interesting to a Liverpool fan, obviously. But no, I didn't see the one that happened on the actual Premier League.
I didn't see when they actually asked it. I've just seen like the results here. This got posted like on Monday. They just asked a bunch of questions like how should English football return? For example, are football authorities right to have been exploring ways to resume during the pandemic? 85% of respondents said yes. How should English football return? It's more important to complete the season, said 63% of respondents. Interesting question here. How long would you be prepared to wait to complete this season's remaining domestic games? I'm going to have to do some quick maths here because I'm combining two answers. But
100% as long as it takes.
14.8% said more than a year they'd be willing to give it. 11% said up to 12 months, and the other 26% said up to 6 months, and 47.8% said 0 to 3 months. So, again, quick maths here. About 74% of respondents want it restarted within 6 months. I agree with that as well. That's going to be really tough. I think if they can't fully restart within 6 months, that means things have gone really, really bad. And what's more worrisome, I think, is this seems like maybe the window or next month ish, and beyond that seems like the window before we hit a potential second wave and before we hit winter again. Because if we go 6 months from now, then we're back in November, and we might be right on the cusp of another big rate of infection. So I think 6 months would be really good, because if it's not 6 months, then I think you're just saying, all right, maybe next March, next April, maybe we can do it. Otherwise, and this is very, very interesting. If the season cannot be completed, it should be 39% saying decided by points per game, 32% saying null and void, 13% saying decided by current position, 13%, this is actually what I would have voted for, 13% saying decided by an analytical model, and a very minuscule percentage saying decided by positions at the halfway stage, which I think is insane. If the season cannot be completed, I'm all for doing an analytical model that takes into account like strength of schedule already played, remaining schedule, blah blah blah. Because I think just doing it on points per game is a little unfair. But that's that.
I think the team it would screw if they did points per game. I think it would screw Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Or would it screw?
I think it's Villa actually.
Well, I thought from what I'd heard, Villa and
here we go. I have the table right in front of me.
Villa and whoever else are down the bottom, they're already either way they're in the drop zone. I heard it was like between like Bournemouth and West Ham is who it could mess with or something.
So if the season was decided on points per game, the relegation teams would be Norwich, obviously, and then Bournemouth and Villa. So West Ham would actually be safe, as would Watford. The reason I don't love that, and one reason I really want this season to play out, even though I don't really give a shit about Aston Villa, is Villa does have match in hand on all these teams. And if they did win, if they just got one win in their match in hand game, they would jump out of relegation. So that's really unfortunate to me. But and no, people.
I want to see Villa stay up personally.
And no, people, it has nothing to do with the fact that Arsenal would jump Tottenham. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's not like they get into even a Europa spot. It doesn't fucking matter. So it's really not for that. It's really just for the bottom of the table stuff that could be changed.
Next season, if you want to see Champions League football in North London, you will go to the pub and watch with the others.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Sheffield and Wolves would be our Europa representatives. That's not bad. We'll have another good run in Europa. You can do it, lads. Here's a question. So I'm curious. I'm gonna ask for you on this one. because these are two questions about promotion and relegation, and then I'll give the results. So, Wes Bradshaw, if the Premier League season is concluded without all games being played, should relegation be enforced?
I kind of think you have to. I mean, what is this without relegation? Yeah, I still think you should enforce relegation because you know what? To keep this model going, you've got to reward those teams that are coming up, and you've got to burn those teams that are going to go down. That's a them problem. So yeah, I'm in favor of relegation still.
51% say yes. Almost 49% say no. Very, very tight.
What's the electoral college?
Obviously, no.
It says that his numbers don't matter.
The other question was, if the season is concluded without all the games being played, how many clubs should be promoted from the championship? The options were none, the top 2, or the top 3. And I'm guessing by your wanting to do relegation fully, you would say the top 3. But does the fact that the third spot is usually decided by a playoff change that at all for you?
Now, see, bringing that thought into it, because I think the top 2, like traditionally, should get their spot in it. I could actually live with the top 2 and the bottom 2 switching out.
Okay, all right.
And you know what? 18th. It's the luckiest damn day of your life. There you go.
Well, 41% agreed with you and said the top 2. 38% said the top 3, and just 21% said none. So here's another one that came up. Would a 23-team Premier League next season be a good idea if it prevented a legal battle over promotion relegation? I would be for this in a vacuum, but I think that's what you said. Having an extra long season then with 6 more matches potentially having to be played domestically either means it's going to be a super long ass season or bye League Cup, and you still probably have more matches than you'd have played normally. So that's going to.
Oh, damn it! One thing with the League Cup, all these lower league teams, you're going to have them all to be able to play all this shit.
Yeah. Is there any other interesting ones? This was a kind of interesting one. If games are played behind closed doors, they should. 56% people surveyed said be free for all to watch. We love free shit.
Well, yeah, because Sky Sports could be like, you know what, we don't want all this money. Sure, whatever.
But here is actually an interesting question. I'll ask you, Wes. Would you, because my answer was kind of interesting, and it did not really jive with the majority. Would you watch behind closed doors games, assumedly on television or streaming, not involving your side? So not involving Liverpool. Would you watch behind closed doors games?
I'm gonna tell you this: it would have to be a really good matchup for me to watch it. Like right now, let's just say it's Saturday morning, Liverpool's already played or we're getting ready to play or something, and you've got, just throwing them out, Sheffield playing Brighton and Hove. I'll sit there and watch some of it. You give it to me in an empty stadium, not going to watch a second of it.
Okay.
I will watch my team and I'll watch Manchester. I'm looking forward to watching Schalke and Dortmund.
Mm-hmm.
Do not think for a second I'm going to watch that nearly as hard as I would watch Liverpool play Norwich.
Right. That makes sense.
It's just how I am. Personally, I think you and I think this might be more an American thing too. We didn't grow up with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, an NFL game. If you like the NFL. That caveat. If you like the NFL. You'll sit down and you'll watch an NFL game.
Mm-hmm.
You can find a reason and a storyline to watch an NFL game.
Mm-hmm.
Most college football, you can do that. It's like it doesn't matter who the Monday Night Football is garbage. Let's say the Sunday night game. Sunday night's kind of the premier prime time game for the NFL.
Mhm.
It doesn't really matter who's on. Most people are going to watch. I mean, you're going to get a spike in Philly fans if Philly's playing, or Dallas fans, or Giants fans.
Mhm.
But the rest of the country's going to watch because, it's Sunday Night Football. We're going to watch the football.
Mhm.
But, like when it comes to baseball,
Mhm.
if the Red Sox aren't playing, it's got to be a very special reason that I'm watching a game.
Mhm.
And maybe it's because you've got like a badass pitching matchup or something.
Mhm.
That might get me to do it, But, we kind of joked for years on here, we love baseball season because that means we have something to watch while we're potting.
Yes.
I mean, there's no other reason on God's green earth for me to stay up late to watch Seattle and Oakland.
Yeah.
And even when it's on, I'm not really watching Seattle and Oakland.
It's just background noise.
Yeah, basically, it's something on TV and it's background noise. So for me, I watch Liverpool. If you give me Spurs and City, I'll watch it. If you give me Chelsea and United, I'll watch it. But even those, I don't watch as hard as I watch my own team. So,
Well, interestingly enough,
I get that down into a one-sentence answer, and what are the percentages?
So 70, and I think this probably reflects the fact that most of these surveyors, probably actually people in England, 72% of the people said yes. They would watch games not involving their side. 15% said no. 13% said what you said, which I think distills down into yes, but only the big six. So I think that one, I think probably is kind of that divide you're talking about on A, not growing up on it, and B, just being over here in America. And then B, from what I've noticed, especially in reading the comments, it seems like people are just absolutely starved for anything, which is like, why don't you people have Netflix? But I understand.
Pay for Hulu. Pay for Hulu. What's wrong with you?
Exactly. Pay for it, you bastards.
Pay for it.
But I do wonder if there is if people who grew up on football just are from a time, especially in England. I don't, because God forbid, I don't know how TV in England really works that well. If it's significantly different from over here in America, I imagine that a lot of people growing up and are like us, or like maybe 5-10 years older than us, maybe just don't really care about general television, like to the extent that you and I do, and we can find other things to watch that aren't sports necessarily.
Well, let me give you a very brief background of how football was viewed in Britain.
Please.
For many years, the only live match that was on every year was the FA Cup final.
Yes, I remember that now. Yeah.
For a long time. For a long time. I've listened to it. You know me. I love my I love the historicals.
Absolutely.
For many years, the only live match that would show up to was the FA Cup final. And then they would play some matches on replay, and they had like a highlight show on Saturdays. They started playing a few more live. They would give you some more every now and then. But then when the Premier League exploded, the big money back in the Premier League was Sky Sports. And to this day, where, we get pissed off if at 10 a.m. it's like, oh, I want to watch Liverpool, and they're showing me Aston Villa and Manchester United. No, I want to watch Liverpool play such and such. Ever in England, they're like, y'all get to watch this shit for free? What the hell? Basically, in Britain, if you want to watch matches at your house, you either have to have a Sky Sports box or a subscription to BT Sport. And if you watch all the matches, you have to have both. They don't do live matches just on your basic cable plan in Britain. That's why the pub atmosphere is so big over there. Because, we go to the London Bridge, and they pay for the TV package.
Right.
Because they know if they're paying for the TV package, that's going to bring 300-400 people in on a Saturday afternoon to watch the match. They're going to pack the bar to watch the match because I'm not paying $60 a month to have Sky Sports. So, yeah, I think that's why communal watching of the matches is so big over there, and why we don't exactly get it where we could just sit on our couch and eat a bowl of cereal and watch the match. And we're completely spoiled by our abilities to watch the matches.
It's true. NBC Sports spoiled us big time.
Yeah, it really does.
And
then you think about the last day of the season, it's like all the matches are on. It's on this channel, on this channel. You're on Sci-Fi. You're on MSNBC. You're on the Oprah Network. You're on the E! Network after the Kardashians.
It's the weirdest episode of Kardashians I've
Oh
ever
my God, I so want to get pregnant by a footballer. You already have it. Yeah. I can't remember.
So here's another question that I'll ask you, Wes. If a player does not want to play before a vaccine is available, clubs should accept the player's position, reduce the player's pay, or sack the player.
We know what the right answer here is. The right answer is to respect Danny Rose's damn opinion.
Oh, Danny.
Why do I want to respect Danny Rose's opinion on anything? He's such a prick. No, I mean, I feel you have to accept the player's feeling in it. This isn't the old days anymore.
Yeah.
If it was, you absolutely know what that answer would be.
Yeah.
I can bring in someone who play. Someone wants to play. Oh man, yeah, that's gonna be a hang up, I think, for the Premier League. It's gonna be this handful of players that are talking about, they don't feel safe playing. So I say sack them, but you know what the real answer is.
I will give credit to responders, or maybe they just didn't want to appear to be assholes. 77% said they would accept the player's position. 21% said they would simply reduce the player's pay. And then, I don't know, quick maths says there's 3% left. So 3% of respondents said they would sack the player. Oh, man.
Well, they all say that until it's the last day of the season and suddenly Paul Pogba doesn't want to play.
Yeah.
By the way, it's going to be Paul Pogba.
That's nothing new for Paul.
It's going to be Paul Pogba. And so they say, ooh, Pogba say he doesn't feel safe. And he can force him moved.
The worst part about all this is Paul Pogba was probably somewhere in France being like, oh man, with all this going on, I haven't had to get ripped on by the Foreign Affair podcast in like 3 months. This has been great. Oh, let me turn. Oh no, they did it. Oh no, I can't believe they did it. Oh man. Oh man! Also noticed I did not try to do a Paul Pogba accent. I know I know my limits sometimes. So
sorry, I'm just really tired, so I can't pull off a good French accent right
now. So there you go. All right. Well, now this I guess we'll do. This will be the part of the pod where
your father smelt of elderberries.
Is there anything from The Athletic you want to pimp this week, Wes Bradshaw?
I want to tell you, your mother is a cabbage.
Amazing.
Yes, I actually. Hold on to your hats, folks. Wes prepared. I have 3 articles that
okay.
One is a newbie. One is this is about a week old. I guess I read it last week, and the other one's a little older. But I found them all quite interesting. The first one is I believe we may have talked about some of the different things that The Athletic is doing to fill content right now. It's phenomenal. I love it. Everything doesn't have to be about the COVID. They have an article from about a month ago that I kind of visit and finish. It's the best players to wear every number in college football history.
That's pretty good.
They go they go number 0 through 99.
Oh man.
Actually, I believe there were a few double zeros. And they go by and they pick usually, depending on what number it is, obviously there's going to be a whole lot more better number 5s than number, 59s over the years, and that's not to disparage any of the great number 59s, but but they go through and they give you a write up on each number and like the best player and the honorable mention best players ever wear that number. I thought it was really cool. You guys know I love college football, and of course they have on the little collage they have there at the beginning. They have the number 26, which is the great Sean Taylor. So that's a class. The second one, God, there's been so many replays, and I've really enjoyed the what if articles. They've been doing the what if this had happened. They've done some really cool baseball ones. I read one today. What if Verlander had been drafted by the Padres first?
Yeah.
And they try to give you like this butterfly ripple effect of, what would it have done here? Not only what would it have done to this team in the future, what would it have done for this other team in the future? And it goes all the way to, what would have happened to the Houston Astros, who finally won their first World Series with Verlander being a stud for them. If he had gone to the Padres, he may have never ended up, coming to the Astros later in life. So it's really interesting. But they do some replays. They go back and they look at great nights in history of a team. And one of them, a night that I remember, I mean, the date isn't burned in my mind, but I remember watching this fucking baseball game, May 28th, 2000. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, Pedro versus Clemens. And it lived up to the absolute billing. It was a fantastic game of baseball. I remember watching it. I was the Pedro Mark of Pedro Marks, as we know. And then who beats Roger but our beloved Trot Nixon? Trot goes ba-bomb in the ninth. And then Pedro sits him down, and Pedro's just the most amazing guy ever. But it's a really, really good story. And then one I read today, which I think just came out in the last few days, it's called "Oh, You Must Be Loaded: How Footballers Feel About Their Wages."
Oh, I remember seeing that one. Yeah,
it's a very interesting article. It actually delves not so much into, okay, I mean, we know what Kun Aguero makes and that he doesn't have to worry about money. If he wants to go and buy a new pair of sneakers, it's not an issue for Kun Aguero. But there's a lot of other guys, and guys we talked about earlier. Your League One, your League Two players. When you get down that way, I mean, these guys are making. I mean, they're bringing home about the same pay that like normal people bring home. The very top end player in League One might be making, say, £100,000 a year. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, not bad money by any means for the average citizen. But when you take into account that, I'm not picking on Kun Aguero, and I'm just guessing on Kun Aguero. Let's say he's making £8 million a year. There's a big difference being a millionaire and being, I do pretty well. But the thing is, a lot of those guys in League One, that's the top end's making $100,000. A lot of those guys in League One are making like £30,000 a year. Yeah. They're making like basic money. But everybody kind of feels, oh, you're a footballer. Oh, as I said, oh, you must be loaded. It's like, well,
not as much as you think.
Not so much. It's like one guy said, he's killing himself trying to get up out of League Two into League One because he'll make some better money because he only has a few years left in the game. And when he gets out, he's like, yeah, I'm probably going to have to go back and get a job as a construction worker. I got to pay the bills. And I'm not, once again, not to pick on Kun Aguero, it's just who keeps coming to my mind. I'm not Kun Aguero, that's like maybe $50 million in the bank. So, very interesting article. God, I read so much good stuff today on The Athletic. They had a really good recruiting wrap-up. Just some good stuff going on around the recruiting world. Just a lot, man. It is literally when I go in and get on the computer at work, it's the one site that I open, and I can just look at shit on the Athletic all day. I hate to say I haven't looked at this Anfield or Bleacher Report hardly at all, unless there's just something I desperately need to read. I mean, I don't really hit those sites that much. I just read the Athletic all the time now.
And that's exciting because it has such breadth and depth to it. It's phenomenal.
It is, and it's not all COVID all the time.
No, it's not. No, it's anti-COVID mostly. So,
but hey, there's plenty of COVID if that's what floats your boat.
Absolutely. So I have some work to do tomorrow, and by work I mean I will be sitting here listening to people talk for like an hour or so about whatever, and basically just make sure the streams don't die. So in that time, I've been pulling up some articles I might like to check out, including one that I just found out here, article by Dana O'Neill and Diamond Lung. What's behind the lawsuit probing Zion Williamson's eligibility at Duke? That sounds like fun to me. Oh, that's sipping that's the Kermit the Frog sipping the tea meme right there, boy.
Somebody get Pete Gaudette on the line. Somebody's got to take the fall for Coach K.
Also, one I'm kind of excited to read. This from the Red Sox. Distant replay, remembering the unexpected euphoria of the Mother's Day miracle.
Oh God, I read that one.
I'm very excited to check this one out. And again, I haven't been keeping up super well with Joe Posnanski's top 60 moments in baseball history, but I've got a lot of them.
I haven't even got all of them. I've just got them saved.
I've got a lot of them tabbed out here, and I am very excited. Even like this one, I love the fact that the 50th best moment is the creation of baseballreference.com. I think that is awesome because I use Baseball Reference. I don't use it as much anymore. But even still, like sometimes we'll be talking, like when we were doing the Mark Grace thing last week and everything, I was like going through Baseball Reference because it's just such a great site at compiling statistics. Oh, it's amazing, which is what baseball basically is at this point. So yeah, I'm really excited to dive into to some of these.
Here's what I'm interested in, and like I said, I'll probably wait on these and just get to them at a later date. But number 46, the one he did today, Buck O'Neill, hears the sound again.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm already, and there's a picture of Buck O'Neill, the great Negro leaguer, one of the greatest baseball players who never played in the major leagues. It's a picture of him on this day when it happened. And, you know, he's walking out there. He's an old man. He's got his hat and his jersey on. And you just know you're going to have goosebumps looking at that.
Absolutely.
So Joe Posnanski may be the MVP of the Athletic through the first part of the season, of the year.
He started this whole thing with the 100 greatest players, a list he's tried 3 times, I think, before this. Never actually finished it, but he had set it up to finish on opening day. That obviously didn't happen. Still finished the list and has now started another one right away. It's a marathon man.
I've got to do the first 20. I think the last one I read tonight was Ferguson Jenkins.
Okay.
Number 81. So I'm working my way through that. Those are so good.
A lot of fun. Also, real quick, my last one I'm going to shout out a little more college basketball. They've been doing drafts of the best players to ever play at certain schools. That's a pretty fun one. Those have been really good. Yamon Brennan dominating these drafts, just absolutely crushing them. And because the best part is they'll do it, and then they'll ask people who were associated with that school, like, who do you think did the best draft? And most people say Yamon Brennan because he's amazing and hyper talented. So Bubble Watch drafts, he's got you covered. Again, check out the Athletic, people. There's literally so much content. Even like if you don't love a specific sport, like I'm not gonna lie, every once in a blue moon, I will go onto the college football homepage. And like, granted, I do still like college football. But even like so better example might be the NFL. Every once in a blue moon, I will click on the NFL's homepage and just see if there's anything that catches my fancy. And every once in a while, I will find something that, even though I don't give less than 2 shits about the NFL anymore, it's The Athletic and it's good writing. So I get something of value from it. So
they just did one over who are the college quarterbacks after Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, who are going to be the big guys in the next draft. You know, who are going to be the best quarterbacks after those two come out. And man, I mean, it was so thorough. It was so good. I mean, they had input from a dozen really highly respected quarterback people from different walks of the game and who have different responsibilities in the game. They were all giving different answers. And I mean, there were probably 15 quarterbacks covered in it. Some of them you'd heard of, some of them you're like, oh, really? Huh, okay. That they're really high on. So, you know, I'm almost interested in the draft next year just to see who goes. I'm like, yeah. I remember them talking about that back in, May last year. Yeah. So, still not going to watch the NFL, but hey, time to get into the draft.
Yeah, unless it's Todd Gurley. That means we got to watch Falcons games. I don't know.
Hey, at least they have 7 different uniform combinations now.
It's true. I can always read a box.
The Falcons are basically the Oregon of the NFL now.
Great. I don't usually say this, but aim a little higher. So.
They're birds. One of the things I read today was they were doing they were ranking the uniforms 1 to 32. And they got the Falcons, and it said the Falcons did it, and the guy was super snarky. You would actually enjoy it because he was super snarky and assholeish. It was super funny. And he said, "Oh, the Falcons, they're long-awaited reboot, and now they look like Texas Tech." Good job. You look like Texas Tech.
What everyone should aspire to be like is Texas Tech.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we have 7 different items, and we look like Texas Tech.
All right, let's throw it over to the Watch 4. Wes, what you watching in the week that was or the week that will be?
I'm watching Community.
Great show.
Great show, man. I'm watching Community. A couple ones for me. Community, I'm almost done. I'm almost done with season 1.
Great. Okay.
Which, once again, just thoroughly enjoying. So I've got that, and then, folks, I'm at home. Me and Mumsy, we like to get together and watch something every now and then. And we are revisiting one that she saw originally in 1985 when it came out. And I've seen it over the years. I actually own the DVD collection. We're watching John Jake's epic North and South.
Oh, okay.
Starring an absolute all-star cast, headlined by the great James Reed and Patrick Swayze.
Ooh.
And if you ever go on YouTube and just type in North and South Book 2 promo, it is the dude who reads it. It is the most epic voiceover of all time. I might have to just send you this. I mean, I don't know if you'd be interested in the miniseries or not from 1985 and 86. But the voiceover the music and the voiceover are just if you're not ready to load up your musket and attach your bayonet and charge a field full of Yankees that would grain, I don't know how you're living your life.
Oh my goodness!
It is magnificent. I'll send it to you. I just sent you that NFL uniforms article.
I saw. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring this out, and I'm going to go ahead and keep it here. So I'll have one more article for tomorrow. Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yas, Queen. Yas.
I wouldn't send it to you if they weren't so fucking snarky. And it was basically like you used to do your homecoming house.
Oh, so I'm not going to go through this too much, but I just happened to accidentally scroll down when I opened it up, and the fact that the Panthers are number 30, just delicious.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'll be checking that out tomorrow. What am I watching? I've gone around. I actually happened when you mentioned about the Community thing. I went and saw it was on YouTube. Vulture did a panel with nearly everyone from Community, basically all the regulars except Donald Glover, who is busy for some reason. I don't know. Can't imagine what he's doing.
He's big time.
But yeah, everybody was pretty much there. It was really fun. Dan Harmon is actually insane, the creator of Community. But it was a lot of fun, and getting to hear them talk about it, and hopefully they did do a table read like some shows have been doing. So that is out there also on YouTube. The cast did a table read of one of their episodes. But hopefully there will be a movie one day with the cast of Community.
Jesus.
So
Really?
one can hope. You'll understand why in a little bit. Once you hit around the end of season 3, you'll start to understand why there should be a movie. Yeah.
By the way, you know how I know a show's good?
How?
And it's funny. My dad hates it.
He should like it. Chevy Chase is on it.
Yeah, he sat there. He watched one episode the other night just because he didn't feel like getting out of the chair and leaving the room.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just so stupid. I was like, oh, this is a good show. Pete thinks it's stupid. This is good.
I will actually say Dan Harmon made a really good point. A lot of their jokes aren't actually jokes. They're just lines delivered really well with really good comedic timing. And I don't think this spoils anything for you, but one of Joel McHale's favorite lines that Chevy Chase ever does is in one episode in season 2. Chevy just screams out, "I can still get erections," to which Joel replies, "What are you talking about?" And it's one of the best lines in the entire series. You will
Nothing Chevy Chase has said on this show makes a fucking lick of sense.
Oh, it's great.
That's what's so good. It's like, I'm going to tell you, man, with Chevy Chase, just what I've seen so far.
Mm-hmm.
With Chevy Chase, it's like you have this group of like actors, who's like kind of young, hungry actors who are doing all these things. It's so great. And you just got like this psychotic old guy over here who just like just says like, "Oh, I can still get an erection." It's like, wow. It's just like, it's like, I don't even know if that was actually a line in that show, or if that was an outtake that got left in. Why would you say that?
One of the interesting,
it's amazing.
One of the interesting things is, and they kind of talked about it a little bit in the panel, and rewatching some of the episodes that I haven't like started a whole rewatch. I've just kind of jumped around to my favorite episodes of the show. But one thing you realize is like the first 6 episodes, which I guess they shot kind of like all together, and then they went from 7 on. You really notice like the original thing was supposed to be Pierce and Troy were supposed to be like together. They were like supposed to be the ones kind of riffing off each other. And then they realized, no, we're going to have Troy and Abed riff off each other. That's what we're actually going to. That works a lot better. We're going to do that instead. And that decision makes the show so much better. Yeah.
I'll tell you too, just Donald Glover, about halfway through this first season, it's suddenly like they're like, hold on, this guy can do a lot of shit.
He can.
And suddenly it's a lot more physical stuff with Donald Glover as well. Like just, doing his little dance moves or, just anything he does, just his little strut or just anything Donald Glover does is just like, hold on, I gotta watch this.
It's amazing.
I mean, he's been fantastic. So and I believe Senor Chang is going in like he's up already near my pantheon of like television characters.
Chang has such an amazing weird arc throughout this entire show. It's amazing. It's great. It's so great.
I believe the last one I watched, Pierce and Troy had to wear pantsuits.
Yes.
And Chang rolls up on his moped and tells Pierce, "Hop on, let's go." Chris said, okay. Wait a minute, what the hell is going on here?
Oh, it's Chang. Chang.
Chang's amazing.
You haven't even seen the half of it yet. That's the best part.
Oh, and I love Ken Jeong as it is.
He's great.
I mean, he's one of my favorite actors anyway. I guess just from being Leslie Chow.
Mm-hmm. Hey, North Carolina product.
Yes, he is. Right up the road, Ken Jeong.
Oh, so
we need to hang out.
Yes, we do. Ken, if you're listening, please come leave your California palatial state and come over here to North Carolina.
Ken, if you're listening, we're sorry you've run out of options.
Yeah.
That's the big takeaway. You've completely run out of options.
Oh man, that's fantastic. All right, so I'll do it for Watch 4. Do you want to talk about wrestling at all? I don't know.
I'll throw one thing. Congratulations, Becky Lynch.
Yeah, hey, congratulations.
She ends her 99-day reign as women's champion, which was a really good reign, by the way, because she was the shit. And the man is stepping away because she's procreating. I'm guessing with Seth Rollins, and my God, this could be the most athletically gifted child that is ever born to a WWE couple. Because they're both amazing, and they're going to have a kid. So good on you guys, and good luck to Becky. Who I've been a huge fan of this Becky Lynch run, this demand run, where she kind of became like a female Stone Cold Steve Austin, and that was freaking awesome. Good luck to Becky.
Somebody posted on Twitter the transference, I guess, of the belt to Asuka. Holy shit, she went nuts. That was so great to watch. Asuka was crazy. She's fucking insane. I love it.
So I took Callie the last time me and Callie went to wrestling in Greenville. Asuka was like super cool and like took a moment with Callie. Callie was on the front row. We were on the front row for wrestling that night, and I'll give it, all the women performers were like super cool, like especially to a little girl who was up front. But Asuka really, who doesn't speak very much English at all, she actually stopped and like hugged my kid and like just said some really nice things to her, and it was, I don't know, it was just a really cool moment to me.
Seems super dope. So good for her.
I like Asuka. I do like Asuka a lot. Yeah.
And then Rey Mysterio killed a guy. I'm sorry. Baron Corbin killed Rey Mysterio. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, Corbin killed Mysterio.
The best part is looking at the replies of one of the tweets I sent you, and people are like, "Oh shit, he just killed a guy!" And people are replying with like a picture that's zoomed out from where they were shooting it, that clearly shows like how they set it up so that it would just like fall like half a foot onto a covered mat. And it's like, no, nothing actually happened. It's like, dude, come on. Look, I am a fan of taking the piss out of things, but even this, I was like, come on, don't be that guy. Don't fucking be that bitch.
You know that wrestling's fake, don't you?
Yeah. Stupid.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
So yeah, that happened. And then hey, Sami Zayn got stripped of the WWE Intercontinental title. Because he didn't want to take part in it with COVID-19 going on, to tie it back into one of our soccer discussions. So,
yeah, well, he's Canadian, so it makes sense.
I forgot what it's. Okay, somebody said here, WWE now without fans in attendance, Roman Reigns, Becky Lynch, Sami Zayn, and Rey Mysterio's right eye. So,
Mysterio's right eye.
not a great look, obviously. But hey, Sami Zayn. Yeah. Unlucky, I guess.
I mean, they're doing what they can right now, but I mean, they're like everyone else, man. I mean, it's not easy, especially when you're a week-to-week episodic. When you're a week-to-week live episodic development, and you've got 3 shows. I mean, God, that's what they do. They do 7 live hours of television a week. And now it's basically, good luck with that. I mean, God, it has got to be absolutely brutal what's going on at Titan right now. I mean, it's crazy, man.
Absolutely.
We wish no ill will on anyone, but it's something there, man.
Not great. But hey, this podcast was pretty great. So we're gonna tie it off here. That's gonna do it for episode 314. One more big shout out to NGSC Sports. You can find them on Twitter, as well as us as a collective. We are at AFA podcast. AFA Pod. I think the first time I've ever fucked that up. At AFA Pod. Wes, you are.
I'm at Wes Bradshaw 21.
I am at Edward Green. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube via our parent show, The All New Sports Show, and email us at allnewsportshow@gmail.com. The worst thing about that is I was looking directly fucking at it and I screwed it up. I'm having a stroke, obviously. Big thanks to our podcast providers, including Podbean.com, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, the TuneIn Radio app, Google Play Music, and the iTunes Music Store. So with that, we'll be back next week. We'll talk a little bit about what Germany did. Hopefully it goes okay. And maybe that'll mean England can follow soon after. We'll see. We'll see, Boris Johnson. We'll see.
We'll see, Big B.
So with that, episode 314 comes to a close. But before we get out of here, Wes, anything else you want to add?
Roy Cooper, please open our state. I need to go to the gym, damn it. And I need a haircut.
We're phase one. Phase one, brother.
Yeah, I know. I get to go to the trail now. Maybe big.
Hey, we could be LA.
I am actually very happy. I love a good state parks.
We could be LA County and be like 3 more months, guys. Then maybe. So.
And then you go to the beach and it's like completely packed because they're all like, "Fuck you, we're doing what we want."
Yeah, my one named technical producer Jackie's cousin, or not cousin. Fuck me. Oh, it's too late at night. Her brother actually lives out in Los Angeles, so he's going stir crazy. But thankfully, he actually lives with 2 roommates and his girlfriend. So I guess that's both a good and bad thing.
Yeah, that can be good. That can be bad all at the same time.
So, yay!
Jackie to tell Chrissy Joyce I said what's up.
We'll do.
I
will do that. Were we talking?
No,
we did. We like somewhat talked about her the other day. Just in general, we were talking about. Well, not really about her. It just happened to be like we were talking about when one name producer Jack and I first started talking. Spoiler alert to anybody who hasn't figured it out after over 300 episodes. One name producer Jackie and I are dating. Crazy, I know.
I didn't know that. I go over there all the time.
I know. We've done such a good job of keeping it under wraps. But we were talking the other, I think it was actually last night, about when we first started talking and getting together and how, for some bizarre ass reason, she was afraid to meet me. Because she thought
you were a big television star.
Exactly. I was obviously out of her league, of course. And we talked about how Chrissy actually had to sort of push her, because they were roommates at the time, because she had just moved down to North Carolina. So she had to kind of convince her to actually be like, no, you should talk to him. That's you should give it a shot. Give it a shot there, bucko. See what happens.
Look, I know at this point I may be a little out of Chrissy's league. But, if Jackie wants to give her the push, tell her to holler at me.
COVID-19 can't end for Wes fast enough. Oh.
No, Wes is going extremely stir crazy. So.
Oh, man. Well, with that, we'll end this stir crazy edition of the Foreign Affair podcast. For my Colin Crime, who hopefully does not go full shinning on us, Wes Bradshaw, I am Edward Green. Thank you so much for joining us here. And as always, folks, please stay safe, wash your hands, wash your ass. And if you live and or have access to German football, enjoy the football. It's happening.
Good night, Chrissy. And in German.
Gute Nacht an unsere deutschen Oberherren.
That means good night to our German overlords.
German engineering. What could be better?
Enjoy the football, lads.
I can't believe it's back. Hopefully it's more than 1 week.
That's what he.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on NGSCsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.